Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Jordan, also known as JMonster, and today I've got it's a very strange battle for you. So we have a new player who's been playing with us on our test build. His name is Raven. He's also doing some voice acting for us, which is very good. It's very high quality. I'm extremely excited to show that to you. Probably in an upcoming video once I have a few more things submitted from him. I'm going to show you a re-recording of a lot of the Elven and Orcish lines that I did a very long time ago. So that's really exciting. But he also likes to play the game, so he's been playing with us. And it's an absolutely cracked cheese build. Like, there's no reason that what he's going to do should work. And in most maps where you don't have this kind of terrain, it's not going to work. Because you'll just get swamped. But this is hilariously fun to watch. And yeah, it just gives you a little bit of a glimpse at some of the goofing around that goes on the test build sometimes. So let's take a look at the Cuarthol army here. We're going to go ahead and pause it. That's going to be played by Pantheon of Barsoom, of course. He's got a bunch of guardsmen, so lots of spears here. Some dreadhelms. I think he's got two dreadhelms. Yes, 1, 2. I see 2 dreadhelms. More guardsmen, which are spearmen. Some Farathir Beleg. I think he's got 2 units of them total. There's a 30 unit dreadhelms right there. Some Raiders of Cuarthol, which are an axe. They're an axe infantry, but they're also a throwing axe unit that they toss before they get stuck in. 2 units here of Scouts of the 2 Captains, which are a melee / harassment cavalry hybrid. We have quite a few of those in the mod. Drogathri, which is going to be their legendary company. Very, very strong anti-cavalry, anti-elephant, anti-basically everything with more than 2 legs. And even some with 2 legs, like Sauron. Potentially very scary, also armor-piercing. I'm not sure if I mentioned that. There's the 2nd unit there of the Farathir Beleg, so a couple big armor-piercing units. Always nice to have in your pocket against Feanor. Brigands of Cuarthol. These are armor-piercing mace units, which I guess is just mace units, because we all know they have armor-piercing at this point. I think he's got maybe more of those hanging around somewhere. I think we've covered everything, and in any case, it doesn't matter, because what we really want to see is this completely janky, like, total cheese Feanor army. And this is, as far as I'm aware, this is done on a 15k budget. So the regular budget that we play with. This is something that, if you wanted to do this, you conceivably could. So let's go ahead and take a look at his army. It won't take long. So Raven's playing with House Feanor. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units of the Rangers of Hellevorn. 2 Scorpions. 1 unit of the Requeni Magloro. And 3 units of Hunters of Caligorm. I don't think he has any hidden units. What you see is what you get. It is literally an all skirmish, all artillery, all cavalry army, and he's parking it in this pass here. So let's see how it goes. So Pantheon's going to take a moment, I think, to well, put himself in loose formation, obviously, but also to take in the sights here and consider for a moment what the hell is going on, as would any of us. And he's going to move forward here, and he's going to do the smart thing of slightly kind of offsetting his forces here so that he's not just charging headlong into this choke point here, but he's also going to send a significant portion of his army around the wing and try and bully these cavalry and things like that out of place. He's got a lot of spearmen. He's got lots of melee cavalry, which can do very, very well against Hunters of Caligorm. They take some pretty big penalties against specifically horsemen, and as do all Lancer units. So he's got the tools. He's got the tools to break through there. Let's see what he's able to do, because it's pretty wild. Let's go ahead, push it forward just a little bit, and you're gonna see Robin's take this engagement. Like, guardsmen here, the 2 captains, they're gonna quickly get themselves into tight formation and I think they were trying to brace so that they could reflect part of the charge back. Unfortunately, they weren't able to do that. But he's going to bring lots of combined arms to bear. The scouts of the 2 captains are there to just pepper these guys with those harassment javelins. Some bowmen from the rear shooting in as well. Farathir Beleg and the Drogathri moving up as well to push those Lancers back. So a bit of a heavy price there paid by the Lancers. They did kill off quite a lot of those guardsmen of the 2 captains. I think they're normally like 140 or something like that unit. So yeah, big hits there. A few more horsemen kind of get bled out on the way back, and then they're going to be in full retreat. Meanwhile, the rest of Pantheon's army moving up slowly here. There's not really any long-range skirmish outside of the 2 Scorpions, which he's left firing lanes for. can actually get to see these things in action. Yep, they do split. And you can see a lot of those things being hit. They're not body piercing. It can be a little bit, I guess, visually hard to distinguish. But I'll try and get some shots here. Yeah, there you go. Look at that. They do split. See all those things hit in the back there. So good crowd control weapons, especially for closer range. And they do bounce as well, which you just noticed. Yeah, more shots there from those scorpions. You can see that they bounce along the ground. So very scary as grape shot. The Rangers of the two captains, though, should have no problems. Rangers of Hellevorn, not going to be able to stand up too well to that. They're only medium infantry. And they will take casualties over time, especially from this massed fire. But let's talk about this army for a minute, because it's wild, but it does, I mean, it's potentially very scary. So the Rangers of Hellevorn are actually quite capable melee infantry after the fact. I believe they've got similar morale traits and things like that to a lot of other units. What is that? The Dreadhelm's getting a little bit too far forward here, getting peppered. And they've got very scary... I call them anti-armor javelins. They're hunter javelins that they can use to just deal a ton of damage very, very quickly. So having a whole bunch of them and then having a solid enough medium infantry force with like decent damage, I think they've got like 10 damage, maybe 11 damage base, it's quite significant. So these brigands here getting absolutely chewed out. There's not really too many heavy infantry targets that you want to save these for, so you might as well just use them while you have them. No point in holding on to them for long periods of time. And he's just opening up here. Meanwhile, in the back, you can see some of the guardsmen of the two captains have gotten into the back here, managed to lock down one of these Rangers of Hellevorn. They did take quite a peppering on the way in. Drogathri and some more guardsmen of the two captains being pushed in here. This is actually quite smart on Panthen's part. I would maybe bring a little bit more pressure, but it is kind of a hard thing to gauge, right? A lot of anti-cavalry here. There's also things that he wants to lock down. And it's smart to do this because then your enemy isn't just putting everything into their front lines where obviously you're not able to use your numbers, not able to envelop them and things like that. So this is a good way to kind of keep his resources divided while he presses that obvious numerical advantage. These guys, I think, were already routing by the time the Hunters of Celegorm got in there, but they're going to get a nice cheeky charge into these loose formation Dreadhelms, so that will somewhat limit the damage that they are able to do. They have some scout support in close attendance, and they're going to charge into those Hunters of Celegorm and start smacking them about. Brigands are going to run for their life. I'm sure we'll see them reform. There's still a decent amount in there, like 80, 85 or something. And the Rangers of Hellevorn are going to kind of break formation here a little bit and push hard into the Dor Cuarthol host, which maybe not the best idea. I don't think it really plays to the strengths here of these units, but perhaps he's just trying to create some space, give himself a little bit more time to toss the remaining javelins that he's got. And he's actually not doing bad. Look at that. He's incredibly ahead right now. He's almost doubled Panthen's kill count here, and he's really making him pay for it for coming through this pass. So very, very strange way that this battle is unfolding so far. But Panthen, he's got the numbers, right? Like, okay, there's Cav in the back here, and this is maybe one of the things that Panthen could have done a little bit better, is when you're facing this amount of cavalry, you generally want to play it really tight when your opponent has better and more numerous cavalry than you do. You want to be able to play it tighter so you can use spearmen and cavalry in tandem with one another, and you can keep him away from some of your important units, your kind of soft underbelly. So the Ferrithir Beleg, they're not going to do too bad against these guys. Actually, they're going to do extremely well if they're left in here for an extended period of time. But that is something I think that maybe Panthen could have done a bit more here. He's got scouts, he's got the units to like threaten the Hunters of Celegorm, even with the numerical disadvantage. So maybe playing it a little bit closer to the chest there. Some spearmen coming in a great loose formation line, going to zone those Hunters of Celegorm out. Truthfully, they've got the mass. They probably could have pushed through that loose formation and not really lost anything, and then been able to just double back over to this side. Speaking of this side, though, one of you Hunters of Celegorm did get caught by the scouts of the two captains. You can see, despite the quality difference between the two, those mount base bonuses really do come into play, and those Hunters of Celegorm are basically getting annihilated here. So, unfortunate. He's going to go for, if he can, a little cheeky charge here into the rear of the Brigands of Dor Cuarthol, trying to relieve some of the pressure on his front line. And he's not doing bad, is he? So a lot of these units here now kind of hemmed in. The Requeni Magloro, I don't know if I mentioned them, but they are here indeed. Gonna charge into the rear of the Drogathri. I don't think Panthan's gonna see it, and it's gonna hurt. Oh, it's gonna hurt so bad. Those Drogathri, it's a hard one to say, gonna get absolutely flattened, and I don't know if these units are gonna be too long for this world. Now, the Recruiting Magloro, they do take some casualties. Those are spear units, and some AP spears as well. So you don't want to leave them in there for too long. But he's got things control on his back line, but it is kind of diverting resources away from the front. Like, if he was able to bring everything to bear all at the same time with these hunters still in the back, I think, like, a push now with everything he had would potentially break this Cuarthol army, which is a crazy thing to talk about. I mean, look at that. Look at how far Panthan is behind. But now he's kind of fighting on two fronts, not really able to bring everything to bear at the same time. And at least one of these units definitely still has a lot of ammunition. Oh, yeah, they were left in there for way too long. Can't really afford to be so cavalier. See what I did there? With the Requeni Magloro's lives. They are extremely expensive. It's not the way to use them is by leaving them in close quarters with cavalry for that period of time. A little bit of a wet noodle fight, though. The Cuarthol infantry have very high melee defense, being light infantry. So this fight would basically go on forever without the intervention of his cavalry, but I think leaving them in there... Yeah, look at that. Look how many dead Requeni are in there. But that's fine. That's a new player thing, and for... I think this is going to be like his third or fourth game. He's doing extremely well. Yeah, pushing things out here. You can see the pressure the Cuarthol is under. They're really having trouble standing up to it, which is shocking to me. These brigands now going to come back. They're going to reform and be able to be a menace here to the flanks. And because it's taking so long to push through these guys, the Cuarthol archers and skirmishers are able to really make the House of Feanor pay for every ground, or every inch of ground that they take here. But I don't think they're going to be too long for this world. Feanor Beleg now out of ammunition. They're going to get in there, and they're going to clean these guys up. It's mostly been Feanor beating on sort of the mooks. There are some Dreadhelms in there, and they're doing quite well. Victory definitely being a strong possibility for them. But the rest of it was just kind of the lighter Cuarthol, like utility units, spearmen, some light macemen who are not really that easy, or not really that hard to deal with. But now the real cream of the crop is getting in there, and I think this is where Ravens is going to lose a lot of his momentum. Although that being said, Drogathri, I didn't even realize that they could route, but there you go. Requeni Magloro definitely want to get out there and start supporting these guys, and maybe even bringing the Scorpion crews up here to just kind of harass things and get into the raiders and just generally start to present a united front. Oh. That being said, actually maybe those Scorpions are perfectly fine being where they are right now. Really putting the hurt on these guys. Have any routing? No, the Feanor Beleg are not routing. I would be shocked. I would be shooketh. Panthan maybe trying to just redeploy a little bit here. Oh yeah, he's going to be able to get around the wings now and slowly start to bring things back. And you can see he's not 18% behind anymore. He's only 9, so he's really brought that back. Some Rangers of Helleborn. I don't know where they came from, but obviously they huffed it all the way around the back of the mountain there. They're going to charge into those guardsmen of the two captains. There's not going to be enough of them to break through there. Feanor Beleg now streaming in, and we're going to see a fight on a little bit more even ground. Some of these units being heavily suppressed by those throwing axes or being surrounded by the more numerous Cuarthol infantry who's now able to finally bring their quality to bear. And my, how the turntables have tided, or something like that. Scouts of the two captain, cavalry now in Feanor's back lines, making life difficult for them, shutting down one of those Scorpions. And things are really unraveling fast now. Look at that. Just a 6% difference, whereas he was down, I think at one point, he was down like over 20%. So Panthan's really bringing it back against this crazy cheese build. Go ahead, put it into full speed here. Nice little cheeky charge. Going to take down a few of those footmen of Himring, but they are very stubborn. Not easy to get rid of, and many of those cavalry will actually get clipped there. But he has effectively shut down both of those artillery pieces. At this late point in the game, don't know how important they would be, but this one certainly was well placed to do a lot of damage and to turn this fight around. Or at least make it very bloody. Now, what happened to the other ranger unit? They're hanging out right here. They're doing their best, trying to live their best life, trying to backline these Doran Cuarthol unwashed peasants, but unfortunately, the men of the House of Beor not numerous enough. That's a problem I'm sure they will never run into again throughout their history. And they're going to fall apart here. And this game, we're now 3% difference. Panthan still got cavalry. He was ping-ponging around in the back and then managed to slip out through a line of his own men. Very sneaky indeed. And slowly but surely, the rest of this Feanor line, I think, is going to get rolled up here. So we've got raiders in there with their axes. You got Feanor Beleg on the front lines, and they're going to hack these men of Beor down to size for sure. In comes more reinforcements, and now they're starting to break. And I think we can see the direction this is going. In the back, Roqueni Magloro trying to do stuff and things, but they do get shut down by those scouts. They were not numerous enough at this point in the battle to really swing things back. So, an interesting fight. That is a crazy, crazy cheese build, and it was working out really well for him. I think that could have been a win, for sure, if a few different things had happened, like not losing the Roqueni Magloro the way that he did. Obviously, really expensive, very potentially game-changing unit. Leaving them in combat with Spearman for that long, it's not a good idea. They might have been fine if the Drogathri weren't there. If they were elsewhere, then it might have been okay to leave that heavy cavalry unit in there. But because they have AP, it really does make a measurable difference. So losing them like that was unfortunate. Panthan splitting his resources and not just attacking, into a choke point. That would have been a lot less fun to watch. Not letting Ravens bring everything to bear all at the same time. I think those two things probably were the biggest challenges that ultimately he wasn't able to overcome. But yeah, so hope you guys enjoyed that. It's silly. Don't take it too seriously. It's just a fun little build, or a fun little battle. In any case, my name is Jordan, also known as JMonster. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you next time.